Welcome to In Focus with Eden Lane.
This week we make 2 visits to the Aurora Fox. Later we'll learn about their main stage production, Amateur Night at the Big Heart. Terry Dodd is the Colorado playwright and co-director of this production. We also meet Tony nominee Randy Myler, who's the other co-director. Ignite Theater makes their home at the Aurora Fox Studio Theater. While it's the last weekend for their current production, The Great American Trailer Park Musical, it's our first visit with this company. And we begin with co-founder and executive artistic director Keith Rabin Jr. Well, I'm so glad that we're finally getting to visit you at Ignite Theater Company because you're sort of a reincarnated theater company. So how did this theater company begin?
I used to be living in Fort Collins and did some work at the Carousel Dinner Theater and living out there, and I said, you know, I want to start my own theater company. This was back in August of 2008. And my partner at the time was like, well, why don't you? So the very next day I started doing research, and just started building it. I was part of the Denver Gay Men's Chorus, which is part of Rocky Mountain Arts Association, and had met the executive director and told him my idea of building this theater company called Gravity Defied Theater. And
I wonder where you came up with that name. Gravity Defied.
I don't know.
Could it be from Wicked?
That's exactly right. A lot of my motivation comes from songs from musicals because that's what I'm really passionate about. So he took Gravity Defied Theater under the wing of Rocky Mountain Arts Association. After 3 seasons, Gravity Defied Theater became huge, and things started really happening for us, and our mission started to change. And so we made the decision that, you know, to amicably split from Rocky Mountain Arts Association, become our own standalone theater company, only because of mission changes, and you know, we were moving in a whole big, huge direction. And I was also starting another program called Illumination, which is my own show choir based off of Glee, and you know, that's where we're at. We became Ignite Theater, and the rest is history.
So what is the mission of Ignite Theater?
The mission of Ignite Theater is connecting communities, igniting passion and connecting communities through the performing arts.
You know, that sounds great. What does that mean in a practical sense? What is it about Ignite Theater that's different than so many other similar sized theater companies in Colorado?
Well, when we were doing coming up with the name for Ignite Theater, you know, we were actually in a room here at the Aurora Fox, and we're here with Charlie Packard and their marketing people, and we were all brainstorming. And one thing that Patricia Wells said, who's the marketing director here, was when she left one of our shows, she just felt like she was her passion was reset. No. And the word ignited came in there somewhere, so that's where Ignite Theater came from. So really, we really want people to leave seeing our shows with a new passion, saying, wow, I really like theater. In addition, we also try to do we try to do theater that hasn't been overdone in the community. You know, Spelling Bee was done all over the place, and we usually don't do productions that have been done within 2 years in the Denver community. So again, we, you know, just really want people to leave the theater, you know, saying, wow, I think I want to see more theater.
So part of it is that you want to do works that are less commonly or haven't been recently produced in Denver. Is there another thread through how you select what plays you'll produce?
Definitely the music. The music is a huge, huge deal for me. It has to catch my soul, which is why originally it was Gravity Defied, because that song is just so powerful. And actually the theme for Lucent Performing Arts, which is the umbrella organization over Ignite Theater and Illumination, is a very light, it has themes to do with light. And that comes from the song in Next to Normal called Light. Which is a very important song for me in a lot of ways. So the music is one of the most important things when I'm selecting my seasons as far as musicals go.
So how is Ignite Theater Company structured? Is it a company of actors, or is it an artistic company and you cast actors from all over town? How is it structured?
Just like that, we hold auditions before every production. You know, you have a lot of actors that have been with us since our very first production back in 2009, and we're really starting to see new actors. We've grown so much that previously all of our actors were volunteers, and this is our first season where we're actually paying our performers, which is really exciting for us.
It's amazing how many small theater companies in Colorado are able to do that
Right.
as they build their seasons.
Yes.
How did Ignite make that transition to being able to pay your actors?
Well, again, we are doing the shows that actors want to be in, new, edgy, amazing shows, and you know, we've finally gotten to a point where we're ready to bring in a whole new caliber. And you know, we've said, you know, we're confident that the shows we're doing, especially this season, are going to allow us to be able to do that. We need that caliber of actor, we need that dedication, and I'm certain that the productions that we're doing this year is going to allow us to do that.
Now, I know you recently had sort of a fundraising event and a performance event to highlight your season and help raise money to put on your season. It was at Hamburger Mary's. Tell me about that event.
Hamburger Mary's, first of all, we love them. We do all of our, what I like to call theatrical fundraisers there. Basically, we're calling the season a season ignited because of the shows that we're doing. And, you know, we had crammed about 100 people into the Mary's Club M room. I don't know how we did it, but we were adding seats and chairs everywhere, and it was incredible. You know, our first act is just, you know, all of our actors just doing stuff that they want to do, songs thrown in there, and then
maybe an audition piece or something they'd like to get cast in.
Right, exactly. And then the second act was just selections from our upcoming season.
So what is the rest of the season? I know we're currently in your season opening production, The Busy World is Hushed.
Yep.
Then it's the
Great American Trailer Park Musical. And then really exciting is the regional premiere of Spring Awakening, which will be on the main stage right here at the Fox.
How did that happen? I remember reading that in your announcement, and I thought, how did this little company, whom I haven't had the pleasure of visiting before, get Spring Awakening first?
Well, it's all about destiny and fate. Totally believe in it. But when we were going through the transition from Gravity to Ignite, I'll admit I'm addicted to Facebook, on it all the time.
And you know, that's mostly how you and I communicate.
I know, definitely. But was at work and was on my phone, and I'm friends with MTI on Facebook, and suddenly I see the rights for Spring Awakening are available. I called my executive producer, Will, and said, get the rights now. And I called Amy Osetinsky, who's directing the show, immediately and said, scratch what we were doing, and this is what we're doing now. So it was just like that, and it was perfect timing because that was maybe a week before we announced the name change.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sort of was a convergence of a lot of things happening for your company all at once.
Stars aligned.
And a very special play that you're getting, a very special musical piece that you're getting to present. That has to be expensive, if nothing else. How is a small company like Ignite able to do that?
You know, it's terrifying because that's not the only crazy expensive show that we're doing this season. But we have always pulled through. The show that happens before each show always ends up helping it out and going through. We always find those last minute donors, and we're doing something really amazing here, and it's just working out on its own.
I can see that even though you're here by yourself, I can see you're not doing this alone, and that it's very heartfelt for you and the rest of the team at Ignite.
Right.
What's coming after Spring Awakening?
After Spring Awakening, also on the main stage will be Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. I'm sparing no expense. I'm going big and
these are
bold.
ambitious, musically ambitious productions.
Yes. Yep. This is our first full season as Ignite Theater, and I really want to show people what we can do. Granted, my 2013 season, which I already have planned out and ready to announce in August,
I was going to say, you're going to tell me now.
Oh, I can't do that. But it's going to be just as big and bold and a lot more familiar titles, but no less amazing.
I know you said you like to do things that haven't been produced in a while in the area, and I know there was a spate of Sweeney Todd's, but it has been a while since we've seen one.
Definitely. And I can promise you, me and Bernie Cardell, who's also directing that show, you're also going to see a new little spin on it. It may not take place in the time setting that you think it might, and I'll leave it at that.
So just a little tease there.
Yeah.
And does the season extend beyond Sweeney Todd?
It does. Which Sweeney Todd happens, we'll have a special Halloween performance of that show as well, which is perfect timing for that. But after Sweeney Todd...
Now be prepared for people to come in costume.
I hope so. They might even get a discount, a free drink for that. So yeah, think about that.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, definitely we would love that. But after Sweeney Todd is probably my labor of love because it's next to normal. And
I mean, I've read your season, but I knew that was a very special show to you.
Yes.
Tell me why Next to Normal is so special to you.
While I can't relate to some of the medical things that are happening in the show, the thing is things can get so bad, and I've experienced those times of deep sadness and struggle and stress and in my life, and listening to that show and how it progresses and it falls, and at the very end, no matter how bad, there will be light, and how much that song has uplifted me through anything that's all of my low points. Diana in that show has a line where she says, you don't have to be happy at all to be happy that you're alive. And that's so true. And in that, you can find happiness. And just the whole, as bad as things get, it's just beautiful that they just still see light at the end of the tunnel.
Are you going to have another role for that production other than being the executive artistic producer for the...
I will be directing that show. It's that important to me. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Will we get to see you performing in any of the Ignite Theater Company's productions in the season?
Not this year. I am...
How did that happen?
Well, I can't put myself in everything, unfortunately. But no, it's time for me to step back and make sure that things are running smoothly, and that I focus on the operations, and that I am focusing on being at rehearsals as the artistic director, and just being there for my cast rather than being in the cast. It can be a lot of work, being in a show, running the show, doing the marketing, and everything. So it's going to be nice to just take a step back and watch the beauty of these productions unfold.
Well, I'm glad that we finally had a chance to connect and come and visit you so we can learn more about Ignite Theater Company, and the shows you have coming up for this season have really got me very excited too, and I know some of the viewers will be very excited, so I look forward to seeing what comes through this year.
Thank you so much.
For tickets to the final performances of their current production, The Great American Trailer Park Musical, or information on the rest of their season, visit ignitetheater.com. Now we move out to the main stage at the Aurora Fox for Amateur Night at the Big Heart. They were just completing the set and making final preparations for opening night during our visit. Here's my conversation with playwright and co-director Terry Dodd and co-director Randy Myler. Well, it's awfully nice to have you on the show again, and this is your, as often as I see you around town, this is your first time on the show.
First time on
the show. And we're here at the Aurora Fox for a play that you wrote. And strangely enough, this time we're meeting you as a director and not a creator of the work.
That's right. Terry and I first met, how long ago, Terry?
Long time ago, and leave it at that.
In a place like this?
At the Denver
It's
Center.
actually long in the show. Line from the show.
I have this friend, Sam Andrew, a big brother in the holding company, you know?
Uh-huh.
And he says, I used to do acid, now I do antacid, which tells you how long ago.
I love that line. I'm going to have
Yes.
to borrow that, even though it wouldn't be true for me. It's just
Not-
too
not
good.
for you,
It's
but
too
for
good a
me.
line not to use.
Yeah.
So we're here because your play, which is a non-musical, and the last time we were meeting with you, it was for Mama Hated Diesels, which wasn't a musical, but it was a play with music. And this is a straightforward play. Is that correct?
Right.
So what was the inspiration for this play?
The play was first done at, given a staged reading at the Denver Center that Randy directed about a little over 20 years ago, and it was then picked up the following year by the Arvada Center with David Ogden Stiers directing the premiere there.
From MASH.
From MASH, yeah. And he then did this West Coast premiere of this play at San Jose Stage in 2002. And when the season got announced here last year, Randy Facebooked me and said, "Do you have a director?"
Well, what inspired the creation of this?
With the creation, several things. One was growing up in Pueblo, I was often with my dad, who was a state patrolman and then became a liquor enforcement officer, yawn. And that was a cop with all things that deal with liquor, going to bars. And I would, on occasion, at the ripe old age of 12, go to work with him. And we would be at bars, sometimes when they would open. And you saw who you can only imagine, from the sad to the funny. And we would be at places that were packed. And my dad, I think even then I was the artist looking, taking things in. And he would notice that and talk to me about, the lone woman at the bar, or, the drunk, or the comedy of just what places like this can bring about. And that's sort of, set on a back burner. And then I saw a production at the Denver Center of Soroyan's Time of Your Life. And Donovan Marley directed. It was beautiful. And I just thought in many ways, I wanted to do something like that, a big ensemble, and give a sort of a cowboy tip of the hat.
A cowboy tip of the hat.
Cowboy tip of the hat.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So we're going to meet several people.
This is an
in play.
ensemble in the best sense of the word, I think.
When you Facebooked him and asked if he had a director, because obviously you enjoyed doing it the first time, how is it different this time to the first time you got to direct the stage reading of it?
Well, I remembered it very, very fondly, and then diving back in the script, we found a lot of things that we could nip and tuck and play with over the years. It's things to change.
It's nice to do that with the playwright because you can immediately get permission to do
That's
that.
right. That's right.
The cast may hope that from here on out, that they only work with dead playwrights,
Because there's no changes.
Right.
But the characters, even the smallest character, very, very rich. Well written by Terry. So.
Who's the character that you tap into the most in the script? Because in order to direct it, there has to be a point of view for you as well.
I tap into, I trained at the University of Texas under a really tremendous director named James Mall, and he worked with a lot of people, Jimmy McClure, the playwright, a lot of Catherine Bates. And if he was doing Fiddler on the Roof, he felt the most important thing is to build the village of Anatevka. So that no matter what the night was, no matter what the audience was like, you always had the village of Anatevka as your strength. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So in a way, my favorite character is the bar and building the world of the bar. Because once you have that, it falls into place, The actors feel safe.
And they're still building it as we're here, even though you're opening in just a few days.
Yeah.
But I can tell already it's the kind of place that will feel and seem familiar. How do you describe this particular bar?
I think also one of the things I noticed with my dad in going out to a lot of places is sort of the time-honored profession of what a bar is. It's the neighboring water hole that you go to. I mean, do you have a favorite as far as the Skylark or where you go? I just, where they know your name and you've got the stool or the booth in the corner.
It's hard to resist that tagline, isn't it? Because that really is what places like this are about,
Right, yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. But a lot of times this may be the only place sometimes for people to be communal. In many, many ways. It is, a bar is an honored thing, and this one's been around for a long time, and it's the opening night of sort of some of the conflict is there's the opening night of the Cock and Crow across town, and it's a country western disco, and the diehards have shown up to give Marge her, the support of the place, and they swear, that, it's going to get better. But it's sort of, I think the writing may be on the wall as far as, it's also about change.
We see that in neighborhoods across Colorado even now, even though
Yeah.
you wrote this so long ago. Not with bars necessarily, but with all kinds of businesses, big box stores coming in,
Right.
and neighborhood entrepreneurs losing their place in the community.
And
Yeah,
things
that-
that were entertainment.
A new show I'm working on right now with my partner Dan is about the folding of small farms around the country, and through Farm Aid sort of thing.
Do you think that that's one of the ways that this has become timeless, because these are questions communities are having to address even now?
I do. I think I think the foundation of this place, because it is, I agree with Randy, it's a play about a place, but the people all populate it by all means, and they are wondering what's going to happen to their place. You know, in
And
many,
you know,
many
it's not
ways.
just small town America. I mean, I live in New York City, in the Village, in the West Village. That's happening in the Village. You know, a lot of the great little landmark, whether they're clubs or jazz clubs
The
or whatever.
Village Gate is gone.
That's right.
Is it Dwayne Reed now, isn't it?
That's
Or
right.
something like that.
A lot of nail places, you know,
Yeah.
where they do nail. But you know, you do enough of that and you lose the character of the Village, and there's no reason to have the Village, you know.
When we come to see this, obviously we know this beautiful house has its own kind of history and its real sense of place that it's been able to maintain here. I think it's sort of going to help us feel like we're in this bar.
Right.
Yeah, by all means. What's funny about this place is it's an old movie theater. And I saw movies here as a kid on Saturday afternoon. I saw Hitchcock's North by Northwest when I was a kid. And we got, you know, but it's you know, so it's got a whole variety of feelings. You know, for me, I remember thinking, she's not going to climb down Mount Rushmore in high heels. This isn't going to happen. And then the heel broke, and it was like, of course. But, you know, I think on that back, by all means, you know, as part of, you know, it was another way for the community to gather.
Well, and this is surviving and in many ways thriving right
By all
here.
means, yeah.
When you brought your cast together and you revisited this material you both collaborated on 20 years ago, what was that like, that first table reading?
Well, I was here for the first read. Randy came in like a week later, and you know, it's anything that you may go back to 20 years ago that you go, oh, really? And then you, as the playwright, of course, feel free to cut it. But there are things where you go, oh, this is nice. And I think the essence of the show and what it says, I think about relationships. I mean, people do stupid things. They make stupid choices in this play that you will maybe go, oh, are you kidding me? And then think, well, I'm not exactly like that in a bar, am I? You know, but then at the end, there are people who make really nice choices. And you don't know that maybe till the end. And in some ways, the ending is, I think, really genuine. It's an earned sweetness.
When you said that the character that you tap into first and most intimately is the bar, tell me about the rest of the people that populate this bar.
Well, for a lot of them, it's home, you know, and I think that's why the play resonates with audiences too, because we're all roads lead to home, you know, and whatever that means. And one has a sense that they come here, may not even know it, but it's home to them, you know.
And the jukebox behind you, Randy has said it, so did David Ogden Stiers when he directed it. He said, this is a heartbeat away from a musical.
That explains your attraction, by the way.
I think, you know, after the first read, one of the characters said, one of the actors said, everyone has their own song. You know, and it's, we get Patsy and Willie, and you'll hear a lot of music in and out, and you go, oh, but, you know, it's sort of, everyone's got their dance.
Is any of it funny?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
is.
think very.
So we can
And
come
Ryan.
knowing that we're coming to see a piece that we can tap into emotionally, but we're also going to have a good time here.
Oh,
That's right.
by all means, it's a comedy
And you'll
drama in
probably
that
find
order.
yourself among one of the people on stage.
We've already figured out who I will be.
Absolutely. You're that mysterious
You know what,
blonde at
though?
the end of the bar.
You could be Marge running the
You could be
bar.
Marge.
Oh,
Marge is a very interesting character,
I
by
don't
all
know
means.
that I would want to tackle the chore of running a bar. I'm sure that's really
It's a
hard.
chore.
And it's one
She
of those
throws out more than
professions-
one drunk cowboy.
It's one of those professions that you just, if you think about what they do, you have to admire the skill set it takes to do
That's
it.
true.
Totally agree. It's not something you go into blindly.
And I think
she's-
that's true of playwrights and directors, and I'm so glad that we're getting a chance to visit when you only have hours, really, before you open. And I appreciate the chance to learn a little bit about Amateur Night
At the Big Heart.
at the Big Heart. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
For Amateur Night at the Big Heart ticket information, visit aurorafox.org. Colorado Shakespeare Festival's production of Twelfth Night opened this week at the Arvada Center. Visit arvadacenter.org for details. Next Saturday, May 12th, is a gala benefiting an international goodwill organization that's called Denver Home for 20 years.
We
are world travelers. We are
global citizens. We are making
change
around the world. We
are passionate.
We are the voice
of a new
generation.
We are up with people.
Community leaders from across the Denver metro area are coming together for this event supporting Up With People. Visit 2012gala.myfavouritenonprofit.com for more information.
That's all for this edition. Remember to join us on Facebook and Twitter. With all that Colorado has to offer, we're here to help you keep it in focus. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Snugglebug.